Hey guys, I know this is a little bit different to the normal content that I make. I just wanted to talk about XDefiant for a minute. It's for those of you that don't know, it's basically a first-person shooter that's being heavily labeled as the new, I'm saying this in quotations, COD killer. Um, Basically, what it is it's a first-person shooter by Ubisoft, which merges quite a lot of their recent titles together. So, for instance, in the game, you have 5 factions. One of them is the Cleaners, which are the pyrotechnicians from the Division. If you've played the game, you're familiar with those. Echelon, which are the super spies from Splinter Cell. You've got the Libertad, which are the freedom fighters from Far Cry 6. You've got the Phantoms, which are the future soldiers from Ghost Recon Phantoms. And you've got DeadSec, which is the cyber attackers from Watch Dogs 2. They all come with their own various abilities and powers, and it makes for an interesting mix of gameplay. For instance, the Cleaners, the main ones that you'll use when you're starting and leveling up, I'll point out. The other ones you have to either reach high rounds or purchase these specific abilities by unlocking or buying the battle pass or buying a specific skin, and then you unlock these abilities. Essentially, the cleaners have an incinerator drone, which is basically a drone that shoots napalm as it travels along a flight path, and then it explodes at the very end of that path. And so you have the potential of causing fire damage to people, as well as also explosive damage. The next one is also a firebomb, which is basically a Molotov cocktail that explodes, igniting a small area, so you cause fire damage and explosive damage at the same time. That's usually good for specific game modes that are like capturing objectives and stuff like that. The next one is the Echelon. So you have the digital ghillie suit, which basically turns you invisible, but your movement and aiming tends to be reduced a little bit just to sort of counteract that, so you're not at a really unfair advantage over your enemy team. You also have the Intel suit as well, which is sonar that shoots out and it tells you where all the enemies are. Really cool mechanic, really useful. There's also a similar ability called sonar goggles, which is very similar to that. But you basically reveal enemies within your area, and then you basically shoot them down with Sam Fisher's 5.7 pistol, the silenced pistol from Splinter Cell. It's very cool. Nice little throwback. The Libertad is basically the healing class. They just all they do is heal, really. So you basically have what they call a Biovita boost. It's basically a wave of boost that heals regen for you and also nearby enemies. Not enemies, allies, sorry. And then there's another one called El Remedio, which is a gas canister that you can chuck down. Usually it's good if you're holding objectives, and that heals friendlies until it's either destroyed or it's been cancelled. So you have a little timer on some of these things, and so as that timer progresses, they get destroyed. You've got the Phantoms. They have a mag barrier, which is basically an electromagnetic barrier. It's very good for holding down objectives and trying to stop gunfire from a specific direction. This barrier obviously takes damage over time as it gets shot at, but you can shoot out of the barrier. So once you're on the other side, you can shoot through it, but enemies can't shoot you. It's quite good. They also have a blitz shield, which, in my opinion, I think is a little bit overpowered. Again, it's essentially like a riot shield. You just get shot at and shot at. You're basically a bullet sponge. It's great for like objective game modes again, but at the same time, when you're on the other end of someone using the shield, you have no way of getting rid of them unless you are able to carefully throw a grenade at their feet or something, or have what they call ultra abilities, and you're able to cause enough damage to the shield to kill them. The next one is DeadSec. DeadSec isn't available for you right away. You actually have to complete challenges to unlock DeadSec, which I feel is a little bit annoying because all the other ones are free to use, but at the same time I get it. They can't give you everything all at once. But at the same time, you can also purchase coins. I don't know what they call them in game, but they're like coins, and you can purchase these and then use that to unlock DeadSec. Or you can also use that to get the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass, it's basically 100 levels, essentially, of just skins, emotes, usual stuff. Think Fortnite Battle Pass, very similar to that. You unlock things as you go along. But it's very good. But the DeadSec themselves, they have the hijack ability, which means you can hack enemy deployed abilities and make them your own. So say if somebody throws down a healing thing, you can hack that and it's yours. And then you also have a spider bot, which is basically a little tiny spider bot. If you've played Watch Dogs 2, you know what I'm on about. It's basically a little tiny spider that you can run around and it will target and stun the nearest foe by hugging them on the face, like a face hugger from Alien, essentially. And usually it explodes, I think, and it kills you. They're all very good. Most of the abilities have like a 15 to 25-second cooldown, depending on how excessive it is or how strong it is. It's very well balanced, I will say, in terms of, you know, all the abilities. They're all very well balanced, very well thought out. But at the same time, there are some abilities that are a lot stronger than others because you don't have the ability to counteract them like you can others. So for instance, the ghillie suit, you can kind of see the shimmer. If you're wearing a ghillie suit, or if someone's wearing a ghillie suit, you can kind of see the shimmer, so you can shoot them. And the intel suit, it shows you the ping and it tells you when you've been pinged. You know, whereas for instance the shield, like I mentioned, very, very hard to fight against. So it's kind of, it's a bit of a mixed bag. But the game in itself isn't bad. It's no COD killer. I'm not going to say it is. I mean, COD at the minute is kind of dying anyway. I mean, I've not played Modern Warfare 3 because Modern Warfare 2 was just so bad. I just refused to buy Modern Warfare 3, so maybe I'm biased. But if Modern Warfare 3 is better than Modern Warfare 2, fair enough, absolutely. But at the same time, everyone's hailing this as a COD killer, and I don't think it is. A lot of the game, I mean, the game's literally only been out 3 days, and everyone's really high levels and stuff like that. But it's very difficult to level up, and most of these people that are high levels and have the higher level guns and higher level equipment are people that have bought the battle pass and bought level skips and all of that lot. It's essentially pay to win at that point, and the game's free to play, so pay to win. I suppose Ubisoft are getting their bag, so fair enough to them, but at the same time, it's very unbalanced in terms of, like, if you're an early starter, if you literally started the game on day one and, you know, there's somebody that's been in it for an hour, they could have just gone, oh yeah, here's 20 quid on my credit card, let me just, you know, get to level 100 real quick and just decimate everyone in the lobby. And you will find with the game, like, the game modes are pretty good. Like, a lot of them are objective game modes. There's no team deathmatch, there's nothing like that. There's a mode called Hotshot, which is kind of like kill confirmed, as it were, in Call of Duty, if you're familiar with that. It's very much like that, and essentially you have to collect these little medallions. The more you collect, the more you become a hotshot. You can have multiple hotshots over your team, so if you've got some really, really good teammates, you could have 4 or 5 hotshots, and the more hotshot you have, or the more you hold a hotshot title, sorry, the more essentially stronger you are. You get stronger damage, stronger speed, stuff like that. So it really incentivizes you to be on your A game, really. The other game modes are like, I'm trying to think. A lot of the game modes are objective based, so it's basically like capture the flag. King of the Hill, if you remember that. Maybe I'm showing my age there. But it's very much like King of the Hill and Halo, sort of similar vibe. So there's a lot like that, and there's Hardpoint in Call of Duty, like Black Ops 2. I don't know if they did that in any other titles, I can't remember. Sort of similar gameplay to that, and then there is one called, God. There's also a game mode that basically, essentially, you've got to capture a robot and push it through the level. And as you push it through the level, you've got to reach like 25%, 50%, and then I think it's 100%, or 75%, then 100%. And yeah, essentially what happens is you've got to push that through, and you've got to get it to a specific point. Basically, the end goal is to get it to 100% by the end of the time. But if you don't, it saves where your bot got to. So say percent, I don't know, 60%. You're then defending the bot, so you've got to stop people from getting the bot to 60% and above. So they've got to beat your percentage, essentially, which is really good. It means you don't win automatically if you get 100%. But if both teams get 100%, I think it goes into like a draw mode. So it's pretty good. The gameplay in itself, it's not too bad. It's a bit of a mixed bag, really, because at the minute everyone is using the TAC 50, which is a sniper rifle, which is effectively a one-shot kill. It's very overpowered, but you do have to be very good with it. So I totally get that it's like a skill level thing as well, but the time to kill on it is ridiculous. You literally get one shot, you're dead, regardless of where you hit on the body. The other thing is people are using mainly the MP7 and the Vector. Don't get me wrong, the assault rifles in the game are good, and you can get a lot of kills with them, but the SMGs seem to be the holy grail, sort of, in this game. But that's not counting the first SMG you get. The first SMG you get has a very low time to kill. Very, very low. It's very difficult to successfully get kills back to back with it. It's a good gun, don't get me wrong, but the time to kill is quite low. It's effectively an MP5, but again, everyone at the minute is using like MP7s and the Vector. The only assault rifle I've seen people actually use is an ACR. And yeah, you will find yourself dying repeatedly to people with these weapons. And you know what? Fair play to them. They've leveled them up. They've got them to where they need them to be. But at the same time, the time to kill on them is ridiculous. Literally 2 shots, you're dead. Marksman rifles are very good. I've had no issues with them. Usually you can kill somebody within 2 to 3 shots. But again, it's a case of you have to level up the gun to get to where it's really efficient. But I will say the gunplay in itself is very it's very limited. It's very much you either use these specific weapons, which is like the TAC 50, the MP7, the Vector, or the ACR, or you're not going to win any games. Or you can win, but you have to play objective, essentially, because let's be honest, this game is just an objective-based game. The actual gameplay itself, so the movement isn't too bad. It's a little bit clunky. I think more like I don't know, like Medal of Honor, like front lines, not front lines. Is it front lines? Just think more like old school Call of Duty, so like COD 3, where the movement wasn't too fluid. You do have a sliding mechanic now, but there's no slide cancelling, there's none of that. And if there is, I've yet to find it. The game itself runs really well. It doesn't look the best, I'll say that. I mean, compare it to the most recent Call of Duty. The most recent Call of Duty looks fairly good. The maps in the game are very, very, I'm going to say one-sided. They are very one-sided, and the spawns need work as well. I get obviously they're going for a game without SBMM, and they're going for something that's just, you know, you jump in, you play, there's no skill ceiling, there's no, you know, skill floor. Everyone's on the same battlefield, and some people are going to be better than others, which is great. It's nice to have a game without SBMM, but at the same time, you jump from lobby to lobby, and 1 minute you're kicking ass, and you're top of the leaderboard, and then the next game you are bottom fragging to all hell because the next team are just insane, and then once they've killed you enough times, all the teammates can move in and they just spawn trap you. And the spawn trapping in this game is such a heavy thing. It's really, really bad, and it does need a lot of work. I think sort of they need to readdress it, sort of like how Black Ops 2 was, and like later revisions of Call of Duty or like Halo as well. They didn't have spawn killing as high because it had like an algorithm that would see if there was players nearby, and then it would, you know, rearrange the spawns so that, you know, you're not being killed as soon as you jump in. And I mean, they could fix it with like a temporary boost of invulnerability or something, when you spawn in for like 3 seconds. But at the same time, it's kind of, it takes away from the realism factor kind of thing that they're going for. Obviously, you've got the fancy weapons and stuff, so it's not really realistic. But you know, it's the game in itself. It's great. It's free to play. I mean, if you get a chance to play it, definitely do jump on. But at the same time, don't go in thinking this is going to be the next Call of Duty. Don't think this is going to be the next Battlefield or the next, you know, say next AAA first-person shooter, because it's not. It's very much a work in progress, and it shows. It's not bad. It's not a bad game at all, but there is a lot that needs work in the game, and hopefully the next couple of updates will have that. But it's just getting there, and it's very hard to get there when it's only just come out and everyone's trying to find what's the meta. Everyone's trying to find their you know, their jam and really like meld with the game. Yeah. Outside of that, my honest thoughts are just a lot of the maps need a rework. The gameplay needs a little bit of a rework, just sort of the fluidity of movement. I mean, throwing a grenade can really throw off the rest of the movement, because you throw a grenade and there's like a split second of a delay when you throw it, where it's just, I don't know, it's like a temporary freeze. Your character just goes to throw a grenade, but you know, it's not quick, it's not out there. If they increased the pace at which you deployed your abilities and, you know, threw your secondary, like your grenades and stuff, and like just smoothed it out overall, just got it to the point where it's just snap, 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 like they would be onto something really, really great, and it will decimate. I'm talking like Modern Warfare 2019 level movement. Like if it's just quick and snappy and just fast paced, they've won. Like Call of Duty doesn't stand a chance. But at the minute, as it stands, the game in itself is just very slow. It's not slow. It's just very. You take your time getting around the map. The maps are very, very big as well. They're not huge, but they're very big compared to a typical Call of Duty map. The layouts of the maps are very higgledy-piggledy. Granted, you've got like a lot of elevation in a lot of these places, but there's so many places where, you know, people sit. There's like a lot of nooks and crannies that people hold, and there is no counter to them at all. A lot of the movement is very it's four-way sort of areas where there's always 2 entrances and 2 exits, or 4 entrances and exits depending on how you look at it. There's mantling in the game, but a lot of the stuff that you think you could mantle, you can't. There's a lot of barriers everywhere. There's a lot of, you know, places where you can't really get access to, and if you could, it'd be a huge advantage. And yeah, I don't know, the guns need a little bit of a rework as well. Just sort of balance things out a bit more, and, you know, reduce the time to kill on some weapons and increase it on others. Just buff it out and sort of balance it out a little bit so it's not so, you know, pocketed in just a select few weapons. But yeah, honest thoughts. The game is good. The game's fun to play for a little while. It's not something you know, you get bored of easily. I mean, I've played about 10 hours, I think. I'm like level 25, 26. It's very hard to level up unless you play it non-stop, like 9 hours a day. And yeah, the game is very good, worth a play. I just hope a lot of the issues with the game get ironed out. And I look forward to seeing more game modes added. Hopefully, like a team deathmatch, more kill-based modes instead of just the objective modes. Don't get me wrong, Hotshot's great, but at the same time, a lot of the people that are playing are leveling up their guns and trying to find what works for them. And having a bunch of objective game modes is not helping with that. Having a select playlist where you are just able to kill people and just shoot at people, and that's it, the core gameplay for that is just shooting, then perfect. But because the objective game modes require you to use all of your util, and require you to hold location and not shoot as much, it would just be, it'd be very nice, just to have something that could separate the people that are focused on kills and people that like to play objective game modes. Because at the minute it's just very obnoxious. You have one teammate where he's at the top of the leaderboard and he's playing for kills, he's shooting 30-40 people per game, and then you've got that one person that's middle of the leaderboard, usually me, not to brag, but yeah, you usually have that one person in the middle of the leaderboard who's playing kills and objective and holding objective, but everyone else couldn't give two shits. And yeah, I just think the game needs a lot of polish. Once we've got that polish, potentially new COD killer. But for the moment, the best it's doing is it's killing Roblox. Like it's just where it is at the moment. And yeah, but fair play to Ubisoft. It's not something I would have thought Ubisoft would do where they're releasing a free-to-play game. I mean, Ubisoft have been known to be very anti-consumer a lot of the time. And you know what? Hats off to you, Ubisoft. Well done for merging all of these universes together. And well done for, bringing something that actually, people are enjoying now. Because, I mean, your track record for the moment hasn't been the greatest, I'll be honest. And, I can't remember the last time I bought a Ubisoft game. I think the last Ubisoft game I actually bought was Far Cry 5. And it wasn't bad, but it didn't make me excited to buy Far Cry 6. I played Watch Dogs 1 and I wasn't excited to play Watch Dogs 2. I used to love Splinter Cell back in the day, but then I think it was after Chaos Theory, I just meh. You know, um, yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my opinions. Let me know if you agree with anything or disagree with anything. Debates and stuff are always open in the comments. Obviously, be nice to each other. Don't call people idiots. Don't call people dumb. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Whether you think it's right or wrong, that's fine. Just agree to disagree. If you strongly disagree with something, just state that you strongly disagree with it. But it doesn't necessarily mean somebody's wrong. To have an opinion isn't to be right or wrong. Sometimes our opinions aren't exactly factual, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. But yeah, comment down below. Yeah, cheers.